What if I told you that in 2025, the world came dangerously close to witnessing a nuclear nightmare? Two of the most powerful countries in South Asia, armed to the teeth and fueled by decades of hostility, crossed a red line. Sirens blared across border towns. Fighter jets took to the skies. Civilians fled. The drums of war echoed across Kashmir and beyond. But what really triggered the war between India and Pakistan in 2025? Was it just another border skirmish, or something far more calculated? Let's dive deep into the untold story of the 2025 conflict, a war that wasn't just about land, but legacy, power, and survival. Part 1. The Slow Burn of History. To understand the 2025 war, we need to rewind more than 75 years. When British India was divided in 1947, it created two nations, India and Pakistan. But the line that split them was drawn in haste, and Kashmir, a Muslim-majority region ruled by a Hindu king, became the center of a deadly tug of war. Since then, India and Pakistan have fought 4 wars and engaged in countless border skirmishes. Each conflict ended with temporary peace, but permanent mistrust. Fast forward to the 21st century, technology evolved, weapons got more advanced, but the hostility remained the same. In fact, it intensified. Especially after 2019's Pulwama terror attack and India's retaliatory Balakot airstrikes, the region became a ticking time bomb. Both nations hardened their positions. Diplomacy turned cold. The question wasn't if war would happen again, it was when. Part 2. Tensions rise in early 2025. In January 2025, a series of cross-border incidents were reported in the Kashmir Valley. Militants, allegedly linked to Pakistan-based groups, launched coordinated attacks on Indian military convoys. The most devastating strike occurred on February 7, 2025, when a convoy of Indian paramilitary forces was ambushed near Kupwara. Over 40 soldiers were killed. India's media exploded. Politicians across the spectrum demanded retribution. The public mood shifted from grief to rage within hours. Indian intelligence agencies quickly pointed to Jaish-e-Mohammed, a group long associated with previous attacks. Pakistan denied involvement, but New Delhi had made up its mind. What followed was not just a limited response, it was a show of force. Part 3. The First Strike. On February 10th, India launched Operation Trident Flame, a series of precision air and drone strikes targeting suspected militant camps in Pakistan-administered Kashmir. Unlike the 2019 Balakot strikes, this time, India pushed deeper and deployed ground forces near key ridges across the Line of Control, LOC. Pakistan retaliated almost immediately with Operation Zarb-e-Tayyar, striking Indian military posts and mobilizing armored divisions. The border was no longer just hot, it was burning. Within 48 hours, full-scale military exchanges erupted along a 320-kilometer stretch of the Line of Control. The world was on edge. Part 4. The Escalation. By mid-February, both India and Pakistan had moved tens of thousands of troops to the border. Fighter squadrons from Indian Air Force bases in Srinagar, Pathankot, and Ambala took to the skies. Pakistan responded by activating its air bases in Sargodha, Peshawar, and Skardu. Missile defense systems were on high alert. There were reports of BrahMos deployments by India and Babur cruise missiles being tested by Pakistan. On the ground, intense fighting occurred in areas like Tangdar, Rajouri, and Poonch. For the first time in decades, tanks rolled into civilian zones. News footage showed destroyed homes, wounded civilians, and terrified children sheltering in bunkers. And behind closed doors, both nations' nuclear command authorities were monitoring the situation minute by minute. Part 5. The Cyber War and Media Battlefield. But the 2025 war wasn't just fought with bullets and bombs, it was also a digital war. Cyber attacks crippled banking systems, rail networks, and power grids on both sides. Indian and Pakistani hackers launched waves of denial of service (DDoS) attacks, leaked government documents, and spread misinformation online. Social media turned into a propaganda machine filled with nationalistic content. Twitter trends were dominated by hashtags like Strike Back India and Chash Defend Pakistan. Both sides accused each other of war crimes. Public opinion became polarized. Diplomacy became nearly impossible. Part 6. International Reaction. As the war entered its third week, global powers intervened, not with troops, but with pressure. The United States, Russia, China, and even the United Nations called for an immediate ceasefire. China, sharing borders with both countries, was deeply concerned. The U.S. sent emergency envoys to New Delhi and Islamabad. Russia offered to host peace talks in Moscow. But neither India nor Pakistan was ready to blink first. The trauma of past wars, political pride, and domestic pressure had created a dangerous standoff. Part 7. The Turning Point. On March 2, 2025, a Pakistani F-16 fighter jet was shot down over Indian airspace. The pilot was captured alive, a repeat of the 2019 incident. This time, however, India refused to release the pilot immediately, demanding concrete action against terror groups in return. That night, nuclear-capable missiles were reportedly moved into forward positions by both sides. The world held its breath. Back-channel diplomacy went into overdrive. The Gulf states, especially the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, acted as mediators. U.S. satellites tracked missile movements. Russia warned of catastrophic consequences if either side crossed the nuclear line. Finally, on March 5th, under intense global pressure, a temporary ceasefire was declared. The captured pilot was released. Talks resumed behind closed doors. Part 8. The Aftermath. By the end of the conflict, both nations had suffered thousands of casualties, soldiers and civilians alike. Villages lay in ruins. Families were displaced. Economies took a hit. Stock markets trembled. Though no formal peace treaty was signed, the guns fell silent. But the damage was done. Trust, already fragile, was shattered further. International analysts called it a war of ego, escalation, and miscalculation. Others warned that it was only a matter of time before the next conflict, unless deep diplomatic changes were made. The India-Pakistan War of 2025 was not just another border conflict. It was a wake-up call, a reminder that in an age of nuclear weapons and digital warfare, even a small spark can ignite a wildfire. History will judge this war not just by what happened, but by what almost happened. The world got lucky this time, but the question remains: will South Asia be lucky the next time? If you found this breakdown informative, please hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more detailed stories from the front lines of global history and geopolitics.